California, the 1980s. A paradise for tourists and a nightmare for the police. Back then, they didn't know a ghost was walking their streets. A man who left a trail of blood, but who no one could find. His name was Joseph James Naso, and his victims were all women. 1994, a rural county in Nevada. The body of a 40-year-old woman, Pamela Parsons, is found at the bottom of a quarry. In her bag, a strange note. An anonymous poet had dedicated a poem to her, full of riddles and dark hints. Police called it a suicide, but they were wrong. It was a murder, and it was connected to 25 other unsolved cases. For 30 years, he killed a quiet, unassuming, educated man, a photographer who loved to document his victims, and who kept a secret diary where he recorded all his crimes. His diary had 12 entries, but the police only found 10 victims. Joseph James Naso was a man who fit perfectly into the crowd. Nothing special. He was a freelance photographer, a former Air Force member. He seemed quiet, educated, even intellectual. He lived alone, collecting old photographs and books. No one would have thought that something dark was hidden beneath this mask. But Naso had a secret passion. He was obsessed with women he considered fallen, those who engaged in prostitution or simply lived a free lifestyle. Naso didn't just kill, he documented his crimes. In his home, among thousands of photographs, police would later find pictures of his victims standing in the very places where their bodies were found. He was the alphabet killer, but not in the way the police thought. They believed the killer chose victims whose names started with the same letter as the city where they were found. But Naso had a different game. In his diary, which became the main evidence, police found 12 entries, where he gave each victim a code name, one for each letter of the alphabet. And that was just the beginning. His notes hinted that this was not a complete list. It all ended because of a simple traffic violation. In 2011, an elderly Joseph Naso was pulled over for driving under the influence. During a search of his home, police, not looking for anything specific, found what they had been searching for years: his stash of evidence. In one box were photographs taken decades ago. They showed women in strange poses. The police didn't immediately realize they were his victims. The main piece of evidence was his diary. In it, Naso, in his neat handwriting, kept a list of his beads. Each crime was marked with a letter of the alphabet, from A to L. But that wasn't all. Next to each letter, he wrote a name and kept detailed records of every step, from meeting the victim to the place where he hid the body. He called it the Project. Using the GPS coordinates from these photographs, police were able to find the bodies of his victims. But, as I said, his diary had 12 entries, and they only found 10 victims. Police still believe Naso killed at least 2 more women whose bodies have never been found. Joseph Naso, who was 78 at the time, was arrested. He never admitted his guilt, but the diary and the photographs said it all for him. He was sentenced to life in prison and died in custody in 2015.